If you take a tiny, fragile wooden boat and drop it into the absolute freezing, blinding void of outer space, it just doesn't make any logical sense.
No, I mean, it completely defies physics.
Exactly. Right? You naturally expect a boat to be on an ocean, maybe navigating a rough storm that's certainly not floating in the airless vacuum of the universe.
Yeah, it's a deeply jarring image.
It really is. Yet when you dig into the lyrics of J.M. Canonigo's song, Kasama, that jarring, surreal image makes perfect psychological sense.
It really does.
So welcome to today's deep dive. For you listening right now, our mission today is to do a really close analytical reading of a deeply poetic text.
And it's a fascinating one.
Yeah, we're working from a transcript of a YouTube video titled Kasama with music video, which is originally in Tagalog.
Right.
And we're going to unpack how a seemingly straightforward lyric about two people on a boat ride suddenly just, escalates.
Escalates is the perfect word for it.
Right. It turns into this epic cosmic journey through roaring fire, howling winds, and like we said, the infinite expanse of space.
The way the narrative escalates is really what makes this piece of writing so compelling.
I totally agree. Okay, let's unpack this. Because on the surface, you just have a simple maritime metaphor, right?
Right, but the imagery is pushed to such extreme limits that it forces you to just abandon the idea of a physical boat entirely.
Yeah, you have to let go of the literal interpretation pretty fast.
Exactly. It transforms into this intricate illustration of human endurance. It explores how we survive environments that are actively trying to consume us.
Wow. Okay, but before we get to the apocalyptic storms and the literal vacuum of outer space, I feel like we have to establish the foundation of this journey.
Absolutely. You have to start with the vessel.
Yeah, the entire narrative rests on the vessel itself and the specific bond between the travelers inside it.
Right.
The anchor phrase the text keeps returning to is Iisang Bangka tayo, which translates to, we are in one boat.
Which is such a powerful anchor.
It is. There is this constant reinforcement of being perfectly in sync with the companion. Like the line, Basta tayo'y magkasama laging bakasabe, lays this out so plainly.
Meaning, as long as they're together, they're in step.
Exactly. As long as we are together, we are always moving at the exact same pace.
The text is meticulously constructing a sense of physical and emotional proximity there.
Yeah, like really close quarters.
Right. And it introduces the term kapitbisig, which translates to being arm in arm.
Oh, I love that imagery.
It paints a picture of two people physically linking themselves together to brace against an impending shock.
Like bracing for impact.
Yes. It's not just casual company.
Yeah.
It is an active structural reinforcement of the other person.
And that structural reinforcement comes with a massive promise, too.
It does.
The lyrics state, Anaman ang mithin, meaning whatever the aspiration or the goal is, it will be achieved simply by virtue of them being together.
Togetherness is the key.
Right, but, when I hear we're in one boat, my mind instantly goes to the common English idiom, we're in the same boat. But in English, we usually use that phrase to describe a passive, kind of unfortunate situation.
Right, like a shared inconvenience.
Exactly. Like if a flight gets canceled and everyone is stuck at the airport, we say, well, we're all on the same boat.
Right, it's a collective sigh of resignation to bad luck.
Yes. But reading through this transcript, the Tagalog phrase feels like the polar opposite.
It's definitely not passive.
No. It feels like a defiant battle stance, like they are locking arms, getting ready to fight whatever comes over the bow.
Well, I wouldn't actually classify it as a battle stance per se.
Wait, really? Why not?
Because a battle implies an intent to conquer an adversary, to defeat the ocean or destroy the storm.
Oh, I see.
The text suggests their posture is about survival, not conquest.
Okay, that makes sense.
It is an intentional, unbreakable alliance. The shared boat represents a literal shared destiny.
So they aren't fighting the water, they're just surviving it together.
Exactly. They aren't in the boat because they got stuck there by circumstance, like your airport example.
Right.
They are in the boat because they actively chose to face the deep water together.
Ah, okay. So the distinction is between being trapped in a shared misfortune versus choosing a shared risk.
That's a great way to put it. And that choice is the catalyst for everything that follows.
Right, because once they're in, they're all in.
Exactly. The phrase "pagkat kasama mo ako," which means "because you are with me," is positioned as the ultimate fuel for the journey.
It's the engine.
Yes. The companion's presence isn't just a comfort to make a bad situation tolerable. It is the exact necessary mechanism required to turn abstract aspirations into guaranteed realities.
Wow.
The text presents a fascinating logic, really. Objective reality and external conditions do not dictate their success.
Their togetherness dictates their success.
Precisely.
Well, if their bond is the engine, that engine is about to be put through a stress test that just defies all logic.
It really is.
Because we transition from this beautiful, synchronized arm-in-arm imagery directly into a gauntlet of elemental adversaries.
The environment just erupts.
It does. And they aren't just sailing through choppy water. The text explicitly says they are parting fire.
Yes, apoy ay hawin.
Parting the fire. And they are also crossing the vast, seemingly endless length of the sea, ang haba ng dagat.
Which is an overwhelming image on its own.
Definitely. But as they do this, the wind around them isn't just a breeze. It's described as a howling, incredibly powerful force.
Ubad lakas kong umiya ang lakas ng hangin sa paligid.
Right. The wind is howling with all its might all around them.
The sensory details chosen here are specifically designed to overwhelm.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you have the intense, consuming heat of roaring fire.
Yeah.
You have the terrifying, horizontal, endless stretch of the ocean.
It's just so vast.
And you have the deafening, chaotic howl of the wind, which operates on an auditory level to create panic and drown out coherent thought.
I have to admit, this is where the literal interpretation completely breaks down for me.
Of course it does.
Because you cannot part fire while sitting in a highly flammable wooden boat.
No, you definitely cannot.
And the surrealism peaks a few lines later. There is an incredible image where the companion is described as having a whole heart, bu ang puso mo.
A very important phrase.
Right. And because this heart is whole, it allows them to literally breathe in a tidal wave.
Ang daliang era lang hapin.
Inhaling a tidal wave. I mean, if this were a literal weather event, they would be dead in seconds.
Instantly.
So it strongly implies they aren't fighting meteorology at all. They are fighting something much more intimate.
The breakdown of literal reality is your signal to look deeper into the psychological reality.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Well, the text uses these impossible, catastrophic external elements to physicalize overwhelming internal emotional states.
Like using weather as a metaphor for trauma.
Exactly. Think about the nature of fire. Fire consumes its fuel until there is nothing left.
Right, it burns out.
So in a modern human context, parting the fire arm in arm is a vivid metaphor for refusing to be consumed by a crisis.
Or like dodging massive emotional burnout.
Yes, exactly that.
So the fire is the urgent crisis, and the vast length of the sea is the grueling long-term endurance test.
You survive the acute emergency, but then you still have to row across an impossibly long, exhausting expanse of water.
That sounds exhausting.
It is, but the mechanism for surviving these threats is the most profound part of the text.
You mean breathing in the tidal wave?
Particularly that, yes, a tidal wave, a daliang, is an unstoppable force of nature.
Yeah, it just crushes everything.
Right. If you try to build a wall against a tidal wave in a tiny boat, the wall shatters and you drown.
Yeah.
If you try to punch a tidal wave, you break your hand and you drown.
So what do?
The only way to survive an unstoppable emotional force like immense grief, sudden loss, or crippling anxiety is radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance, wow.
You have to take it into yourself.
Literally inhale it. Instead of bracing against the water and trying to keep it out of your lungs, you accept that the water is going to wash over you.
But the lyric specifies that you can only do this if you have a whole heart.
Buong puso mo.
Exactly. The structural integrity of the heart is what prevents the person from drowning.
So because the companion's heart is whole and like emotionally fortified by that initial arm-in-arm bond,
they don't fracture when the wave hits.
They inhale the chaos, process it internally, and let it pass through them.
Yes. They don't cower in the bottom of the boat hoping the wave misses them.
Right.
They actively, intimately engage with the danger by breathing it in. The text uses the external chaos of the howling wind and the crushing wave to prove the internal courage and capacity of that whole heart.
Man, that gives me an entirely new perspective on resilience.
It's a very different take on it.
Because the standard narrative of resilience is often about, bouncing back or building thicker armor so the wave doesn't hurt you.
Right, deflecting the damage.
Exactly. But this text suggests that true resilience is being whole enough to let the trauma enter you without it destroying your core.
That's spot on.
The silent whole heart sitting inside a tiny wooden boat is actually a superior force to the deafening tidal wave.
It completely shifts the power dynamic.
It really does.
The elements are huge, loud, and destructive, but they are mindless. The heart is small, but it has intention and integrity.
Wow. Okay, so breathing in a tidal wave and parting roaring fire feels like the absolute peak of a narrative arc.
You would think so, yeah.
You survive the worst the earth can throw at you. But just when you think you understand the stakes of the storm, the text forces a beautifully disorienting shift in scale.
The cosmic shift.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. We go from the earthly ocean straight into the vastness of the universe.
The ultimate unknown.
Yeah. The lyrics declare that they will fly, aiding Liliparan, and suddenly you have this striking, bizarre visual.
You're still sitting in this one intimate little boat.
Right, but the environment completely changes. The text describes being in a place that is so bright and so cold in the expanse of space.
Kay liwanag at kay lamig sa kalawakan.
The juxtaposition is wild. A cramped wooden boat floating in the freezing, endless vacuum of outer space.
When you analyze literature, a sudden shift in setting usually signals a shift in the core conflict.
Oh, that makes sense.
They have survived the active, aggressive earthly elements, right?
Right. The fire tried to burn them, the wind tried to scatter them, the wave tried to drown them.
And they survived. So what threat is left?
The infinite.
Exactly. The sheer indifferent scale of the universe.
You know, the specific sensory details here really caught my attention.
Oh, yeah. Which ones?
Kaliwanag at Kalamig. So bright and so cold. Usually when we think of outer space, we picture total darkness. Why make it blindingly bright?
That's a fantastic observation. When an environment is described as vast, freezing, and blindingly bright, it strips away any possible place to hide.
Oh, wow.
Total darkness can actually be concealing, right? You can hide in the shadows.
Right, you feel somewhat protected.
But a bright, freezing void implies absolute exposure. It emphasizes ultimate, inescapable isolation.
You can't escape it.
No. You are being perceived by the universe, but the universe does not care about you. It offers no warmth.
You are entirely exposed in a glare of light with nowhere to take cover, and the temperature is dropping.
Exactly.
That is a terrifying kind of vulnerability. It feels like the psychological equivalent of being in a hospital waiting room under those harsh fluorescent lights waiting for terrible news.
That is a brilliant analogy.
You are fully illuminated, but you have never felt more alone or colder.
And by placing the concept of the one boat in that terrifying, exposing coldness of space, the text brilliantly amplifies the warmth of the companion.
Contrast.
Yes. Think about the underlying mechanics of demonstrating value. How do you prove to an audience that someone is your ultimate source of warmth and safety?
You put them in the coldest, most exposing place possible. The vastness of the universe is required to show the listener just how much these two rely on each other.
The colder the space around them gets, the more vital that initial arm-in-arm embrace becomes.
Yeah, the Iisang Bangka, the single boat, transforms from a vehicle into a tiny glowing ember of humanity surrounded by a sterile, indifferent universe.
The context changes entirely, but the boat remains. The boat becomes the only source of meaning in a meaningless expanse.
I'm imagining this like a cinematic camera shot.
Oh, paint the picture for me.
Okay, so we start tight on the boat, crashing through the waves, parting the fire.
Right.
Then the camera starts to zoom out. It zooms out past the storm, past the clouds, until the earth is just a marble.
Right, keeps going.
Exactly. It keeps zooming out until it's just this tiny, fragile wooden boat floating against a blinding backdrop of stars.
It makes the individual humans feel incredibly small and insignificant.
But simultaneously, it makes the relationship inside that boat feel monumental. It is the only thing that matters in the frame.
That's exactly it. The threat shifts from active destruction to passive indifference, which requires a completely different kind of endurance.
Right. So we've survived the howling winds, we've navigated the fire, we've floated through the freezing, blinding void of the cosmos.
We've been through a lot.
We really have. Which brings us to the final destination of this epic journey. And once again, the text subverts everything we expect from an adventure narrative.
The resolution deviates sharply from traditional storytelling tropes.
Think about a standard hero's journey. You cross a violent sea, or you travel through the perils of space, and it usually ends with a massive, loud climax.
Right, you conquer a foe or plant a flag on a new planet.
You find a treasure chest. There is a definitive, world-altering victory. But in this text, the ultimate prize is just silence.
It is the complete cessation of chaos.
The lines that deliver this resolution are incredibly simple but carry immense weight.
Magkasama tayong tatahimik at titigil ang hangin.
Together we will be quiet, and the wind will stop. And then it pivots to this direct, intimate questioning of the companion. Sanang tunggo mo kaibigan san sasadyaan mong katahimikan.
Where are you headed, friend? Where will you seek your silence?
They didn't win a war against the universe. They didn't conquer the stars. They just found quiet.
This reframes everything we discussed at the very beginning of the deep dive.
The starting goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember, the midden, or aspiration. We naturally assume, because we are trained by standard narratives, that their aspiration is some form of external conquest or achievement.
Right, getting the treasure.
But the ending reveals that the initial goal was never about planting a flag. It was always about finding peace.
The journey's resolution is not a loud victory parade.
No. The true victory over chaos is tranquility.
Asking someone, where will you seek your silence, is such a profound way to understand what they truly value.
It really is.
It isn't asking what their ambitions are, it's asking where their soul rests.
And look closely at the causality in that final Tagalog phrase. Together we will be quiet and the wind will stop. The order of operations is vital there. It does not say the wind will eventually stop, and then we will be able to be quiet.
Oh. The internal action happens before the external result.
Yes.
Kasama tayong tatahimik. Together, we will quiet down at tigiligil angin, and the wind will stop.
The storm doesn't stop because they fought it until the weather changed.
The storm stops because they found silence together internally.
The internal environment regulates the perception of the external environment.
That is so powerful.
Once they achieve that shared internal stillness, the external howling of the universe ceases to matter. For all intents and purposes, the wind effectively stops because they are no longer listening to it.
Right, it just fades into the background.
Exactly. And the text also highlights the word kaibigan, friend. After the massive scale of space and fire, bringing the language back to a simple, grounding human relationship is a masterful way to conclude.
It just grounds the whole thing.
It comes down to looking at your friend and saying, where is our quiet place?
Wow. We have taken an incredible journey through the source text today.
We really have.
We started with a simple, unyielding pledge. Iisang Bangka tayo. We're in the same boat.
Right?
We watched that pledge get violently tested by forces that physicalize our deepest traumas, parting the fire of burnout, breathing in the tidal waves of grief.
Radical acceptance.
Yes. We saw that bond survive, being thrust into the terrifying, cold, isolating vastness of outer space, proving that human connection is the only warmth in an indifferent universe.
It's the only thing that matters.
And ultimately, we arrived at a deeply personal, shared silence where the external wind finally stops because the travelers decided to cultivate quiet together.
It's a beautiful resolution.
It really is. For you, listening right now, this text asks you to evaluate your own life.
It demands introspection.
Absolutely. When you are facing your own howling winds, when you are navigating your own vast, cold, exposing spaces, who's in your boat?
Who are you holding arm in arm with?
Exactly. When anxiety or loss feels like an unstoppable dalyong, a tidal wave, who is the person whose presence gives you a heart whole enough to breathe that water in?
It's a vital question.
This text serves as a reminder that our human connections are the literal vessels that carry us through impossible psychological terrain.
It is a remarkable testament to the utility of companionship. But, considering the surreal nature of the journey we just analyzed, there is a slightly different way to view the identity of the travelers.
Wait, really? What do you mean?
Well, we have been operating under the assumption that there are two physical people in this boat, the narrator and their companion.
Right.
But what if the friend, the kaibigan, isn't a separate external person at all?
Oh, wow.
What if this entire journey, the single boat, the whole heart facing the tidal wave, the freezing exposure of space, is actually a metaphor for an internal dialogue?
Like talking to yourself.
Yes, consider a human mind in deep turmoil. It is entirely possible that this text is about a person's own resilient spirit talking to their own anxious, overwhelmed mind.
That completely changes the context.
When the text says, "Because you are with me, we are in one boat," it could be the strong, fortified part of your psyche, promising the terrified, fractured part of your psyche that you aren't going to abandon yourself.
Oh, that gave me chills. You are holding tightly arm in arm with yourself, bracing your own mind against the fire.
Exactly, and that final destination, the silence, it is the profound moment when the internal war ends.
The mind finally quiets down.
Yes. When the resilient spirit asks the anxious mind, where will you seek your silence? It is a promise. If you hold yourself together, if your heart remains whole, is it possible that you will eventually calm your own internal storm?